Welcome back to Sportsbook Review Videos. Some of the more helpful statistics that you can use when handicapping the NBA, both on game, spreads, totals, props, anything, are advanced statistics. And I am here to give you Sharp's Advanced Statistics 101, breaking down some of the more important advanced stats that you can use to help you cash some winning tickets more reliably. And one of the better ones that I think you can use in the entire NBA, especially when it comes to betting totals, is pace. Pace is one of the most important stats in handicapping the NBA because it gives you a sense of how fast or slow a team plays. And over the regular season and playoffs, there has been a direct correlation to cashing the over or the under with teams that were up in pace. For instance, during the regular season, Philadelphia, Houston, and New Orleans both were three of the top 10 pace teams in the NBA. Now, defense does play a factor into this as well, so don't think this is some direct correlation, but it is interesting to note that those three teams in the top 10 in pace this season were also 133, 105, and 3 cashing the over during the regular season. A very, very good mark for both of these teams, all playing very, very fast in pace this season. Now, if you look at teams also for when you play at slower paces, play down in pace, it also is a much more direct correlation to cashing the under. For instance, Utah, New York, Miami, and San Antonio, 4 of the 5 slowest paced teams here during the regular season. And if you combine Miami and San Antonio's playoff record, you also have an combined under cashing record of 200, 143, and 6. That is a cash rate of 58.2% on the under. So if you look at it, defense does play in a factor, or the lack thereof, if you look at some of the like New Orleans, Philly, and Houston. But pace is a very, very big factor when betting totals. You have to use it here if you are looking at betting either a game or a team total. Now, offensive and defensive rating is another one. I think a lot of people just tend to look at points per game and points allowed per game, but I think offensive and defensive rating, which accounts for pace because it is the amount of points scored per 100 possessions, very, very good way to handicap the NBA, both for players and teams, because all individual players have an offensive rating as well. For instance, you look at the Golden State Warriors team that had an offensive rating of 114.5 this season. Very, very good. Tops of the NBA, scored almost 115 points per 100 possessions. Defensive rating, though, of 103.8, which was a very good defensive rating. I think they ranked 6th in the NBA during that. But if you look at teams that both ranked in the top 10 in offensive and defensive rating this season, there were 6 of them. They had a combined ATS record of 277, 252, and 9. Still very, very good. Definitely a winning ATS formula here for you. So definitely look at offensive and defensive rating as well as some of your handicapping tools here this postseason. Now, finally, advanced statistics for player props. You could use about every single one of these. It could be an entire other video and article, but some of the ones I like to use, for instance, are usage rate, which really measure how many plays a player is using to score the basketball. Guys like Russell Westbrook, Kemba Walker this postseason have all had incredibly high usage rates. You can use those as a way to measure how many points you think a player is going to score as well. You can find the formula for calculating usage rate on Basketball Reference. You can find all the other stats that I'm mentioning here in this one. I mentioned earlier, you can also use offensive and defensive rating. Those are very good as well. But for instance, it really depends on the prop that you're wanting to bet on. For instance, assist or rebounding rates are very, very good because even though their assist or rebounds per game are important stats to use, the rebounding and assist rate are definitely more important because they measure how many assists, how many field goals, for instance, for assist rate a player is assisting on while they are on the floor. So look at a player like Russell Westbrook. He has an assist percentage of 54% this postseason, which leads all players. If you look at the amount of field goals that the Thunder are scoring during a game, you divide that by Westbrook's minutes, and then you get a better look at how many assists he's actually getting here per game. And as an average, he's assisting on over half of his team's field goals while he's on the court. So these are very important things you can use to handicap the NBA. Takes a little bit of math, but a little bit of math never hurt anybody when it came to cashing a winning ticket here. So use some of these when handicapping the NBA this postseason, especially for the next upcoming regular season as well, all of which are very important. So hope that helped, but until then, for Sportsbook Review, I'm Jordan Sharp.